Hello, my dear church boys, and welcome back to Saint Robert's podcast. And in this podcast episode, we're going to talk about day gaming, sugar babies, cam girls, escorts, etc. Mostly sugar babies. Why? Because I keep hearing stories about guys day gaming girls, and then over text or on a date, they understand that these girls are pretty overtly, without hiding it, trying to get something from these guys. And also, obviously, because who doesn't like to have some fun with girls who are making money just because of how hot they are? And I've had my fair share of adventures with girls like this, so I just thought I would share my opinions. We're going to be talking about a lot of topics, so let's first go over the topic list. Number one, why would you want to do it? Why would you want to go out with girls like that? Next, the biggest misconception, the biggest problem with girls like this. It's a big misconception that guys have without understanding or correcting that there is really nothing they can do. Next, why these types of girls are playing some guys very often while other guys are never getting reactions like that. And next, what not to do. What are the things that guys who are getting played all the time keep doing to attract these types of girls or these types of reactions from girls? Next, we're going to talk about red flags, how you can understand early that you should be careful with her. Number 6, we're going to be talking about what type of guys these girls actually like sleeping with, at least based on my experience. Then we're going to talk about the concept of white knight, black knight, and red knight. If you are like a real OG day gamer who used to listen to old school podcasts, then you have maybe heard that idea before. Next, we're going to talk about one simple trick you can do to stop all these problems early before you even go out on dates with these girls. Number 9, we're going to be talking about the simple fact that in most cases, no one's actually trying to play you, and you are over exaggerating this, and there are some causes. It's basically caused by the way people were talking about day game some years ago, and everyone was too worried about frame control. And the last thing we're going to talk about is spending money on girls in general. I've had a fair share of adventures with girls like this from Daygame and other sources. So all of this, all of what I'm going to share in this podcast is these are just my experiences, and I believe other guys have had different experiences. So if you've had your fair share of adventures with these types of girls, I would love to hear your opinion. Not just me, I think it will be helpful to guys to listening to this podcast. So if you have had those experiences, preferably more than just a few, then please share them in the comments section if you are watching this on YouTube or listening to this on YouTube, or if not, then simply share your experiences in our Telegram group chat, where we have more than 400 day gamers from literally all over the world. You can join the group chat by clicking in a link in description. And before we jump into this conversation, one quick update about what's happening, where I am, where I'm going, and the coaching spots. I am slowly moving back towards Europe. I'm going to be back in Europe in a few weeks. I'm still in Mexico enjoying the chilled out beach lifestyle, and I'm going to be opening the coaching season in Portugal, where I am coaching a guy, and then I will have some more coaching spots in May, either in Portugal, in Latvia, or in Poland. Those are very, very different locations. Portugal is better for guys who are from a westernized city, I would say. And if you want to learn day game in a place where the reactions you're going to get from girls are going to be more similar to the reactions you'd be getting back in your home city, so you actually want to learn day game in a place that's going to be similar to your home city, then Portugal is great. Portugal is also great because it's full with beautiful girls, because many Brazilians have immigrated into Portugal and now are living there. It's full with Erasmus students. It's full with tourists from all over Europe and the world. Poland, well, there is not much to say about Poland. Everyone knows everything about Poland. The only thing is that if I'm going to coach in Poland, it's probably going to be in a smaller city that's not as overgamed as Warsaw. And Latvia, well, Latvia, I think, is a hidden gem in Europe. Girls are, I'd say, hotter and harder to day game than girls in Poland, but they're easier than Serbians, easier than Ukrainians. They're like a nice middle ground, I would say. I'm going to be in a few other cities in Europe this summer, but well, you'll find out about that either in the messages in the mailing list or from some YouTube videos. And now, okay, let's start talking about day gaming and sleeping with sugar babies, cam girls, escorts, etc. And the first question, why would you want to do it? Why would you want to go out with girls like this if they're known for their drama, let's put it like that? Well, first of all, guys who start out really put these girls on a pedestal. The idea of sleeping with someone who makes money from being hot, someone who guys are paying to sleep with or just to go out with on a date, if it comes to escorts or with sugar babies, guys are literally paying just to go out with a girl like that, or a cam girl, or an OnlyFans girl, high-end escort. Guys are paying just to look at them, just to go out with them, or to sleep with them. It just seems like this incredible adventure to sleep with a girl like that. And I think once you do it, it's just a story to tell on its own. It gives you some bragging rights. So first, I think the number one reason is just because they are on a pedestal. People view them as someone who's really, really hot. And it's just a nice thing to do, to kind of have that feeling that you accomplished that you did that. And then all of a sudden you understand that there's absolutely nothing special about them. It's not harder to sleep with them. It's in most cases actually easier to sleep with them. And there's really nothing special about them. But to realize that, you actually have to sleep with a few of them. And another reason is they are usually some of the most fun girls in bed. They're usually more adventurous and into more interesting stuff. Some will like ropes and BDSM play. Others will be happy to set up threesomes or even bring their friends over for a threesome. They're just fun play partners. And well, did I mention you can brag to all of your friends you did that? Their girlfriends and wives will love that they're hanging out with a degenerate like you and will be so much more supportive of your friendship. Well, but that's a whole different conversation. Now the question number two, well, let's talk about the biggest problem with these girls, the biggest misconception guys have. The questions they have usually are about, well, she said this, she obviously wants something. What can I do at this point? How can I go out on a regular date here? How do I frame control here? Blah, blah, blah. All of that nonsense. Well, this is the biggest misconception that in my eyes guys have. If they see you as a mark, if they started seeing you as a guy they are gonna try to play, there is nothing you can do about it. They either see you as a guy for fun or as a guy for work. That's it. I remember opening a Venezuelan girl in Buenos Aires, Argentina. That was one of the first sets I did there, and obviously she was hot as fuck and fake everything and looked amazing. And we were chatting over WhatsApp over a few, and she seemed pretty on, wasn't coming out on dates, but then all of a sudden I get the message, hey, this problem happened, can you lend me like $300? And obviously I know what's happening, I know what she's playing me, and I obviously said no. Well, was she as receptive to the messages afterwards? Was she coming out? Obviously, she was not. Or I remember one crazy trip to Prague in Czech Republic where I had like three lays in 3 days, or 3 pools in 3 days, and 2 of those ended as lays. And one of the girls was this cute Russian girl living in Prague. This was actually way before COVID, before war in Ukraine. Well, when Prague was amazing just because it was so full with solo travelers from Russia. It was unbelievable how easy it was. It was crazy. So this was this girl that I went out on a date with, and we had a nice date, got a lay. But then I had to go to the US. I went to Canada and US for coaching. And on my way back, I was going to Prague again to coach someone, and I was texting with her, and she starts asking, like on a date, she was behaving completely normal. There were no problems. Lay wasn't like, it was hard, but well, whatever. Token last minute resistance, that's a different conversation. But she behaved normal. She behaved like a normal Russian girl. Like they behave with their princessy attitudes and a lot of token last minute resistance and this femininity and all of that. I love all of that stuff about them. But now when I'm coming back from US to Prague again to coach, she starts asking me, "Hey, are you bringing me a gift from New York?" And I joked something. I did some agree and amplify thing, and she just said something. "Oh, I was hoping for a necklace from Tiffany's." And again, a typical line that a girl that's trying to get something from you would give. I tried all types of stuff. She stopped being responsive. She didn't come out as soon as she understood that this is just gonna be for fun. There is nothing she's gonna get from me or anything like that. And you will, if you day game enough, you will keep seeing these reactions over and over, regardless of where you day game, because I've heard about reactions like this a bunch in the US, especially New York and LA, and this happens quite a bit in Latin America. Again, it happens a lot to some guys, but doesn't happen almost at all to other guys, which is what we're going to be talking about later. But you're going to see this type of stuff all the time. Well, not all the time, but once in a while. And this is kind of the sad news. If you are here to understand how to sleep with a girl who's asking you to take her to a fancy restaurant and doesn't agree to go out for drinks and wants gifts, then in my eyes, in my experience, in my more than 160 lays experience, there is nothing you can do about it. It's similar to a girl who wants to tame a wild daygamer, but the daygamer still wants to roam free around former Soviet Union and Latin America for a few more years. That girl can try whatever the fuck she wants to tame him, but in most cases, unless the daygamer, and I'm talking about a good daygamer, unless he's ready to kind of start a relationship and that's what he wants to do, there is nothing she can do, and it's very similar to you trying to game a professional. I call them professionals. There's nothing really you can do. If she has started treating you as a mark, in most cases, you will not change that. You can simply stick to your guns, keep holding your frame, and see if she comes out for a drink to a venue you choose. That's the main thing. You're setting the venue, you're picking where you go. If she does that, boom, there is a hope. And there's actually, if she drops her frame of whatever dinner and whatever and comes out to a simple place for drinks, then actually everything seems to be very, very good. But in general, you will not change her mind with some magic game tricks. And the topic number 3, why some guys get this attitude all the time and others almost never. I get this attitude from girls very, very early. Yeah, I'll have some girls ask me to pay for her taxi to come out on a date in Ukraine and Latin America here and there, but that's it. And the taxi conversation, we're gonna talk about that later. That's a very big part of this conversation. That's a very big mistake guys are making. So I'm not getting these reactions that often, almost never, while other guys get this attitude all the time. And when they get this attitude, it's already too late. They're being viewed as marks. The same girl will see different guys for different reasons. You can be the fun guy or you can be the mark. In Daygame, a lot is about how you're being perceived. You can be the fun 40-something-year-old guy who knows how to take charge and lead, or you can simply be a random guy that's too old for her. You can be a successful guy who is adventurous, fun, and has developed a strong character, strong frame. He knows who he is, and he's a fun dude to hang out with. Or you can be the guy who uses his success as foundation of his social identity and doesn't have much else going on for him. Yeah, he's traveling and doing things, but he's still boring and too serious as a person. He simply lacks character. You can be the Bitcoin, tech, whatever else kid traveling the world, or you can be the fun nomad who's fun to hang out with, even when she doesn't really know much about what you actually do for a living. Maybe she understands you're doing good, but she doesn't know anything else because that's not the core part of your identity. So that's why some guys are getting attitude like that a lot, and others almost never, because some guys are simply being viewed as marks because of their behavior, because they look and behave and dress and groom and whatever, like total nice guys, super boring guys, and well, you're not gonna be the fun guy she goes out with to have an adventure. You are either that fun guy for adventure, or you're a mark, and it's a very, very big difference. So if you are in the middle, you're probably gonna be the mark. And it doesn't mean you have to be a crazy rebel bad boy. No, it just means you really have to develop your character, know who you are, and have more parts of your personality than just your work and whatever other serious things you do in your life. If you're the fun guy, she's gonna go out for an adventure, then boom, you're not gonna be viewed as mark, or at least not as often. And number 4, why you're being perceived as a mark, what are the things you're doing, and what to change about that. And the first thing we have to talk about here is age. The older you get, the more important this becomes, the more likely you are to be perceived as a mark. So the older you get, the more important it really becomes to fix everything in your game and well, your looks and etc. So first, yes, you have to fix your looks. You have to learn really good game. You can be the fun older guy with life experiences who can lead and take charge on dates, or you can be the needy older guy who desperately wants to date younger girls. In this case, both your looks, your style, grooming, etc., and your game are gonna be very, very important. The older you get, the more I would say you can't just rely on only game or only style, the more all of these things play together. So you have to fix all of them at once. That's why actually most guys over like let's say late 40s and older that I coach, almost all of them, I tell them to go to my stylist and fix their style, really fix their grooming, fix up all of those things, and boom, as soon as they do that, obviously they get way more out of day game coaching when we work with them. Next, let's talk about style and how that affects whether you're being played. Well, guys who have to worry about being played probably have made enough money in their life by being really, really good at something, but oftentimes that is something geeky. Crypto, tech, finance, oftentimes they were the serious kids. Some of them made it in one thing in their life, but it's important to have more than one dimension to your personality. But again, that's a whole different conversation for a different podcast episode, and becomes more important when you're starting to think about starting a relationship a few years down the line. But for purposes of this episode, let's focus on the style for getting laid. And by the way, when I'm talking about guys that have made something really big in, like, who have become successful in their life and being serious, I'm not saying that everyone who's successful is like that. I'm saying there is a type of a guy who will get more reactions like this from girls, and usually they are a bit more on a serious side, a bit more on a geekier side, at least maybe when they were younger. So, yeah. These guys grew up in good environments. They were fairly serious by nature. So can you imagine how guys like that dress? Even when they start thinking about style, when they can afford a better style, that style still looks fairly serious and a little bit boring. There's obviously nothing wrong with looking a little bit serious, but you can look serious and boring or serious and hot. It really comes down to what types of shirts you're wearing, what types of shoes you're choosing, your haircut, etc. It's simple things. You don't need to start wearing a leather jacket and boots or anything stupid like that. But whatever style you're rocking can be made slick and more, with a cherry on the top. And if you know this is about you, don't try to fix it on your own. You've tried fixing it on your own, and you can afford to get professional help. Get a stylist to take care of your style. You can find someone in your city, or I have a great stylist on my team who has worked with more or less half of the guys I have coached. Simply send me an email to robert@saintrobert.blog and I'll send you all the details. And two more typical mistakes that guys are making that make them kind of put them in this box. Okay, I'm gonna play this guy. First is asking what she wants to do when date requesting. This is especially important in those typical sugar countries like Colombia, for example. Just never ask a girl what she wants to do when date requesting. Simply go for the drinks, offer to go for drinks, offer 2 times. If you are making mistakes like that, then I have a free texting course and a free dating course to help you fix all of these mistakes, available again completely for free on daygamecourses.com. It's completely shit production quality because it was made years ago on a shitty phone, but the advice there is solid. So go there, create a free account, and just go over these courses. And the last mistake I wanted to talk about is inviting girls out for dinner instead of drinks. I understand that some guys don't drink, so that's why they prefer dinners, and I understand that, that's fine, but you have to simply be careful. It's not always a bad idea. If you are a very, I would say, if you are an advanced day gamer with 30 plus day game lays, then you will know how to handle everything, and your frame and your personality and everything will already be polished enough to not run into problems as often when you're asking girls out for a dinner. But if you have less than 30 day game lays, I would highly suggest against that. So either invite her for drinks, or if you don't drink, if you don't use alcohol, which, congratulations, great, I want to be you as well. Actually, that's something I'm working on, like, living a healthier lifestyle. But again, back to the topic. If you don't drink, invite her for something non-alcoholic, coffee, tea, whatever. Go out for drinks, but get yourself a non-alcoholic drink. I know guys who invite girls out for ice creams. It's not important what you're inviting her out for. She's coming out because she likes you, not because she wants that drink, not because she wants that dinner or whatever. The idea is to go out and meet you. And if you need to invite her for something special and otherwise she doesn't come out, then the problem isn't what you're inviting her out for. Then it's either your personality and there's something to tweak about there. Maybe you're too one-dimensional, but the simplest thing to do is simply improve your day game, figure out what you're doing wrong, what you are doing that is projecting this image, and fix that. And the topic number 5, the red flags you have to watch out for, because sometimes it will seem like they really like you, but then boom, they say something that gives away their true intentions. And the first one is the most common one and the biggest one you have to understand. There's so many discussions in the group chat about this. Oh my fucking God. Sometimes it will seem like she really likes you, she's really responsive, and you've agreed on a date and you're excited to finally go on a day game date. And then shortly before you have to go out, you get that message, hey, I live quite far away, can you order an Uber for me, please? And you'll see that as soon as you refuse to get their Uber, they aren't coming out or they simply disappear. Why? And this is a very important thing, because they were filtering for the right type of guy. They are smart. Just as you are filtering for girls, they are filtering for guys. They don't want to waste their time. And this is a very simple way to filter for guys who will pay for stuff. Will he pay for my Uber? Wherever she lives, you met her in a city center, you're probably going out for a date in a city center. She was there, she knows how to get there on her own. She's a grown-up girl. If she's going out there with friends, the friends aren't paying for her Uber. If she's going out there to meet a guy she really likes, she probably is going there on her own, regardless of whether he pays for an Uber or not. She doesn't need you to pay for her Uber ride. She's simply filtering for a guy who'll pay for shit. I will actually gladly pay for a girl's taxi if she is leaving my place fairly late, middle of the night. I have zero problems with that, and I always pay on dates unless she insists on paying, but I will never pay for a girl to come out on a date with me, period. Is every girl who asks you to pay for her Uber a sugar baby who's trying to get things from you? Well, obviously not, but a lot of them are, and they're filtering for who's gonna pay for shit, who's gonna buy them shit. This is especially obvious in some places in Latin America. This is especially obvious in Ukraine and in Russia too. But yes, you are losing some nice girls, some small amount of nice girls who you would have gotten laid with once they came out, but by paying for the Uber, you're going on so many dates where they're there for the wrong reasons and they're not gonna end the way you want those dates to end. So yes, you are missing some nice girls, but overall you're saving so much time and you're basically stopping the problem before it starts, before she plays you even more and you start believing some dumb shit and you know what I'm talking about. Yes, obviously there are exceptions, but remember, the girls we're talking about here have different reasons to go out with a guy. They're girls who are going out purely to get free stuff. And they will simply not go out if you don't pay for her Uber. So by not paying for that Uber, you are filtering out for girls who are going out with you for the right reason. The same girl, if she views a guy as a fun guy to go out with, will not ask him to pay for her Uber. And if she asked you to pay for her Uber and you said no in a cocky, funny way, if she likes you, she'll still come out. Just don't give a serious response. Give a cocky, funny, agree and amplify type of a response. This is partially the fault of guys who are going to these places and throwing money at girls. Ukraine and Colombia, especially Medellin, are great examples. Girls are used to be treated like that. So they really have to think you're a cool dude and like you for you to come out with you if you aren't going to do all that stuff that other guys are gonna do for them. I remember someone in our chat said about Medellin, yeah, well, it's because all of these like gringos come here and they're just throwing money at girls and spending money on them, and that's all because of them. Well, if you are paying for her Uber, you're one of those guys. And another funny proof of how girls will view different guys for different goals is, well, I used to have a really nice regular who would, I remember one day she came over to my place and she said, oh yeah, well, I had this dinner date with this, fancy place with this guy. And then after the date, she just came over to my place for sex. So which guy do you want to be? Do you want to be the guy she goes out with dinner for, or do you want to be the guy she goes over to after the date for some fun? And when I'm talking about this girl or girls like that in general, those aren't even the sugar baby types. They're just going out for nice dinners with guys who invite them all out for nice dinners, and then, well, they have other guys that they go out for fun. And this guy was actually very nice, very sweet, quality girl, like real quality. Back then, I would say I would have dated her seriously if I wanted to have a serious relationship back then. That was just not what I was looking for. Now she is actually in a happy marriage with a kid. Anyways, long story short, don't pay for Ubers and don't invite girls for dinners. Okay, the next red flag I want to talk about is you are inviting her out. She's asking, where are we gonna go? Oh, by the way, yeah, when you date request, offer to meet, just as again in daygamecourses.com and the texting guide or the dating guide, I don't remember where I talked about this, invite her to meet at a public spot and then walk to the first venue. You don't have to tell her where you're going, but let's say she asks where you're going, or you tell her the bar you wanted to go to, and you get a response, I don't like that bar, let's go to this one, and she suggests a fancy place. If she's doing stuff like that, then it's obvious what she's after, and 90% of the time there's nothing you can do about it. You have to be okay with it. I like to say, lose the girl, don't lose the frame. Pick the venue, never let a girl pick a venue. I mean, almost never. There again are some exceptions, but I suggest you start doing those exceptions once you have 30-day game lists, once you have enough experience to understand when it's an honest kind of suggestion for a better venue, maybe especially in a city that you don't know, and when it's an attempt to play you. But yeah, if she starts saying stuff like that, in most cases there is nothing you can do, and you can't get any girl with this one magic thing called day game. It doesn't simply work like that. The next very similar red flag is, I don't drink, let's go for a dinner. It's the same. If she doesn't drink, she can always get a non-alcoholic drink, go for coffee, go for tea, go for ice cream, go for whatever, but don't do a fancy dinner. Yes, some girls will actually filter this way for guys who are looking for something more serious. They will not go out for drinks because drinks have different kind of connotations. They're understood differently, they're perceived differently, whereas a dinner is something that you do when you have more intentions with the girl, more serious intentions with the girl. But again, I like, if she doesn't go out for a drink with you and only goes out for a dinner, if that's her strict rule, then well, I don't really like kind of attitudes like that in a girl. And in general, even if I would miss out on a really nice chick, like, I'm totally fine with it. I don't mind, because I don't like attitudes like that in general. And the percentage of girls you're gonna miss out on that are really, really cool and just have that rule is gonna be very, very small compared to the ones that are just trying to get a free dinner from you. Well, you might be trying to do that, and then she will still insist that to pick the venue and be a little bit controlling. And I like to simply send a simple message to say, let's do the old school thing. I'm the queen, I'm the king, you're the queen, I lead, you follow. Sounds fair? Most girls will be fine once you send this message, and if she isn't fine with it, do you really want to go out with her? She is either trying to play you, or she is being kind of controlling and doesn't want you to take the lead. And do you want to date a girl who's controlling, or are you simply too desperate, too afraid to lose the one girl who's responding to your texts? But to avoid all of these problems, I never tell girls where we're going. I tell them to meet me at a specific place outside and then just walk to the venue. The last kind of red flag, the last important thing I wanna say, whatever emergency has happened, never give her any money. If it's a girl you aren't sleeping with yet, this is 100%. And even if it's a girl that you are sleeping with, but she's using other guys for money, she's playing other guys, not you, you're sleeping with her, she's not using you for sugar or whatever, but if she's using other guys for that, even then you have to be extremely careful with that. I would say, even if she's not playing you but playing other guys, don't give her any money regardless of what the emergency is. I've lent money that way to girls and I never got it back, but I never lent money I can't lose, so I didn't really care about it. And it was just €80 or something like that. I just deleted her number and went out day gaming. And the next topic I want to talk about, and this is going to be super short, is the image you are projecting with the girl, or the way she sees you. Well, because this girl is a professional, she goes out with a lot of guys and she knows just as you know day game techniques, she knows her techniques. And just as a good day gamer can quickly recognize whether that girl that didn't come home with him is it worth going on a second date with her? Is it worth going on a third date with her? How to filter for the girls that are worth going out on more dates with, how to understand which ones are not. Just as a good day gamer knows all of these things, she knows all of these things as well. So it's sometimes harder to if you are a super serious guy that's pretending to be someone who is not, even though you have decent technical day game and whatnot, it's very likely she is gonna see through that. There isn't much you can do about it in short term. Like, you're either that or you aren't. You either have that image of that fun guy, you either are that guy or you aren't. And that's more of a long-term thing to solve, not just something that you're gonna solve with like a quick game hacks. Which brings us to the next topic, a topic that's very dear for my heart, the white knight, the black knight, and the red knight. I do not honestly remember who came up with this idea. I think I heard it in one of the OG podcasts back in the day, or on some course or somewhere. I really don't remember, but it's an amazing concept of discovering who you really are and becoming a much more amazing dude. Okay, let's go over it. This is gonna be a bit of a ramble. So most of us, most of the guys are born as white knights. Not born, I would more say raised, because our behaviors are in for the most part determined by the environment we grew up in, and kind of school, the family, our previous dating relationships, etc. So most of the guys are really, really nice guys. They go on many dates. They are super nice to girls, and they're just like a real nice guy. Dinners and flowers and opening and holding doors and being super polite and going on 7 dates and being the gentlest of all the gentlemen. You know what I'm talking about. A guy that's just way too nice. But then there is the other type of a guy, the black knight, the guy who grew up in a different environment, the guy who grew up maybe in a bit wilder family with different problems and grew up, like, became a biker guy, and he's just like a real bad guy. Maybe he's done some shady stuff, maybe he like hangs out with a pretty bad crowd, but he's just a dick to girls, and he's getting laid because he's being a dick. He's just never opening doors, never buying flowers. He comes and tells a girl to leave middle of the night, doesn't order her an Uber, just tells, okay, I gotta go to sleep, get the fuck out. Never calls them back, is very direct. Again, you know what I'm talking about. This is the other extreme. We have white knights who were raised in kind of traditional upbringing, kind of more serious parents, maybe a bit religious, maybe a school, or all of those things, all of that environment made him into a white knight. And then there is the other type, which because of the upbringing, because of the environment, because he played a bass in a band, yeah, he grew up to be this bad boy who was again getting a ton of chicks that way. But it doesn't matter which side of the kind of the black or the white knight you come from. That's not what all this is about, because both of those options are not your true personality. They're the results of the environment you grew up in. So what do you do to become a much more interesting guy? To discover, you have to discover who you really are in terms of dating. Are you more of a white knight? Are you more of a black knight? So it's a very simple thing to do. We will assume that you are a white knight who has been nice to girls all the time. Well, what I suggest you do is become a black knight for a while. Experiment with being a black knight. If you were always going for dinners or nice bars, start taking girls to really shady dive bars. If you were always opening the doors, don't open the doors. If you're coming with the flowers, don't do any of that shit. If you were paying for her drinks, you can even stop paying for her drinks. If you were always letting them stay over and then cooking them breakfast the next morning, just now sleep with them and tell them to leave. Experiment with doing the opposite of what is natural to you. And the thing that's gonna happen, and by the way, I've gone through this, I've done this. You have been a white knight for a while, and you're gonna be a dark knight, a black knight for a while. And then after a while, you can simply think, okay, I've tried both. What did I like more from the white knight, and what did I like more from the black knight? And then you will take some behaviors from your white knight days, and you will realize, well, I tried some of this black knight shit and I really liked it. I'm gonna keep doing that. For example, I like going to nice bars. Like, I enjoy nicer bars. Like I sometimes go to like dive bars even on dates, but I've kind of learned that I like nicer bars, and that's especially in places that are cheaper, like Buenos Aires, but also in Riga. But then again, I learned that I do not like when girls are staying over. So after we were done, I politely tell them that I really don't like sleeping next to someone, and I would prefer if she left. And I am fine with opening the doors and paying for the drinks, but then I'm gonna, once in a while do some little bit of choking and a little bit of spanking and stuff like that. And by going through your white knight phase and black knight phase, you discover which things you liked from each of those phases, and you discover your true personality. What do you really enjoy to do when you are dating? And you become a mix of both of those things, a red knight. This is an especially useful exercise if you're really a chronic nice guy. I know it's hard to maybe imagine yourself going to the other end, but you can see how far you're willing to push it, how many crazy things you're willing to try, what's okay with you, what's not okay with you. You can do your own thing, but I suggest exploring the darker side of you, the Black Knight side, and then discovering your true personality. If you want to take your dating results to the next level, apart from learning technical day game, this is for guys who already have technically good day game. Apart from that, I would say this is one of the best things you can do. We have 2 more topics left, and let's start with stopping the problem early, or stopping all the problems with sugar babies that you're gonna have before they start playing you, if that's their intention. I used to play poker professionally for 5 years, between ages 20 and 25, and I remember a very good lesson I learned. If you end up in a complicated situation on a river, you made a mistake on the turn or on the flop. How you solve that hard, complicated 50-50 river decision is not important. The important thing is understanding the mistakes you made earlier, and in the future, fixing the problem before it even starts. Or in other words, never pay for her Uber. Yeah, you'll lose a small percentage of girls who would have come out with you and had 0 bad intentions, but you will avoid many more bad situations. Girls ordering a bunch of expensive items on the menu that you will have to pay for at the end, unless you want to talk to some really huge Russian dudes. Princessy girls who will only keep seeing you for the dinner, make you feel like they really like you, but they're so pure and good, they aren't ready for sex. Or you'll get drugged and robbed if you're in Latin America. Happens all the time. I personally know a day gamer who pulled a two-set from a street, and the next thing he remembers is he woke up so tired he could barely move, but he was awake enough to understand that he has been robbed before falling back asleep. So stop the problems before they start, and don't pay for her Uber to come out on a date. Well, I said we have 2 topics left. Actually, we have 2 topics left now, or it's more 2 disclaimers. And the first one is, in most cases, no one is trying to play you. With so much information out there about frame control and things like that, guys are oftentimes too worried about girls testing them, playing them, trying to get stuff from them, etc. Well, no one is after you, at least not as often as you think. In this podcast episode, we looked at a very small group of women who are intentionally doing this. It's a very small subset of women, and they aren't doing this to everyone. Mostly only to guys who painted themselves as marks. In most cases, they aren't the ones who did this to you. You are the one who invited them to do so. Don't be angry about their behavior. Change your behavior. No one is after you. Girls are nice, they're sweet and amazing, and they also want to have fun and kinky adventures. Love them, respect them, seduce them, and then fuck the shit out of them. And the last topic, spending money on girls in general. I just wanted to make clear that I don't think there is anything bad, anything wrong with paying for girls, with buying them stuff or whatever after you have started dating them. Dinners, occasional flowers, maybe even going on a trip, doesn't matter. If you are already dating her, there is nothing wrong with any of that. Well, okay, maybe if you're taking her on a trip, make her pay for some part of the trip, maybe just flights, just to make sure she's going on the trip with you for the right reasons. But there's still nothing wrong with paying for everything else, especially if you are older and you are doing better in life. Then what's wrong with that? If you like going out for dinners and you want to go out for a dinner with a girl you're dating, you're not gonna not do it to whatever, control the frame or whatever. So don't overthink it. Don't worry about it too much. If you are already dating her or whatever, spend as much money as you want on her. Just, pay attention and make sure she's there for the right reasons. Well, that's it for this podcast episode, guys. I hope this was valuable. And just as I said in the beginning, these are just my opinions, just my experiences, or rather my opinions based on my experiences. If you've had a fair share of adventures with girls that are sugar babies or other types of professionals that you've dated for fun, then, well, if you're watching this on YouTube, I would love to hear your opinions, your stories in the comments section. Or if you are not, then, well, join our Telegram church group chat where we have more than 450 day gamers from literally all over the world and share your stories there. You can join the group chat by clicking the link in description. And as I said before, I'm going back to Europe. So if you are interested in getting coaching with me in Europe, there is a link to find out more about that in description as well. And if everything sounds nice in what you read, you can fill out the form at the bottom of that page and I'll get back to you with all the details, the cities that are available, the prices, the dates, etc. And if everything sounds nice, we'll hop on a short WhatsApp call so you can ask any questions you have about coaching and how it usually happens to understand if this is the thing for you. And I will have a few questions for you to understand you better and figure out what's the best way I can help you. And as I said before, if you are making a lot of these mistakes on dates and on your texting, then head over to daygamecourses.com, create a free account there, and there is a free dating and texting course. You will find everything you need to know about texting and what to do on dates. That's it for this time. See you guys in the next episode. Ciao.